Hello everyone and welcome to another custom model segment. Today we're going to take a look at LBSC Thomas, the troublesome boxcars, and a new version of my custom Merlin. So let's get started with the LBSC Thomas. So I do believe that I first made a custom LBSC Thomas back in 2015. Like sometime after The Adventure Begins came on DVD. However, this custom was not exactly the greatest. I mean, it was just Thomas painted green, and then it just said LBSC on there in bigger letters and the number 70. Like none of all this other detail that you see here. So I decided to give it some more detail. So I painted more green paint over it and then just went about adding the details. So I added white lining, which is one thing that the first model lacked. So all the white lining on the sides of his tanks and around his wheels here, the stripes on his boiler and on his bunker, and I even added white, I don't know what the word is. I mean, this isn't the foot plate, but like his running board or whatever. So yeah, I just added white there, and then I made red on the for his buffer beam, and along the sides and the back here I added buffers on the front and the back. I used a toothpick to make the LBSC and the 70 on both sides. He's got a whistle and cab windows. I painted all the rest of his wheels green. And I added a little tail lamp on the back here, which is a nice touch. And overall, I think this model is so much better than the original one. I hope you guys like it. I think it's one of my most detailed and maybe one of my best customs I've ever done. I don't know. What do you guys think? Anyways, let's move on to the next custom, which will be Merlin. So, earlier this year, I had made another custom Merlin, but that Merlin was made from a sticky spill hero, and so therefore it was inaccurate. Like the dome was not the right shape, and the tenor wasn't exactly right either, and I just felt like it wasn't the greatest, so I turned it into a scrap model. And then a little later, like earlier this month, I think, or sometime earlier before that, I just decided I was going to try to make a new, better version of Merlin. So basically, this model was made from my custom model of Blue Peter. And before you ask, I will try to make a new Blue Peter model. I just don't know when. I'm not in a rush to use Blue Peter in any of my videos. So yeah, I will try to make a new Blue Peter model. But in the meantime, here is Merlin, and this is more detailed too. So he's got the 783 on the front of his buffer beam and his buffers and a coupling. I mean, his left buffer is a little close to the edge because of where I started painting the numbers. So yeah, that's a little bit of a drawback, but you know what, it doesn't really matter. So for the face, I used the Adventures version. I just took a little thin knife and then I placed it between the face and the model and just gently pried it off. It had stuff on the back that kept it in the Adventures model, so I had to cut it off the back with my Dremel tool. And then I just stuck the face on, and that's how I did the face. So the smoke deflectors are made from cardboard. And then there's 3 funnels. The one in the middle was a wooden funnel that the model that this is made from already had. And then these funnels, the extra ones, are made from clay. Just like the first model I did. The only difference with this is that I used a little used a toothpick to poke holes in the tops of these funnels to make it look like they're actually funnels and that smoke or steam could come out of them. So some extra details that are like this part right here, the stripes on his boiler, and this yellow thing, and this red part, which is where his nameplate is supposed to be, and this yellow line around here, and his cab windows and his whistle. And he's got some black there for like the window part of his cab, and he's got 783 on the sides. And then for the wheels, I was really low on red paint, and so I basically just used as much as the red paint as I could to cover all of his wheels. I mean, once I have more red paint, I'll give the wheels another coat of red paint, because I mean, you can still, they're not exactly the best looking, but yeah, I will give them some more red paint once I have some more. And so that's the Merlin. And then the tender is not exactly accurate. It's more, in the show, it's more similar to Bert's tender, but I didn't have a spare tender of that, and I didn't want to try to make some like modifications or anything to this one. So this is just how it's gonna be. So 783, and then there's the buffers on the back, and that's it for Merlin. And I think this one's much better too. And now let's move on to the troublesome boxcar. So we'll start with this one. Whoops. So this was the first one I made. It's just supposed to replace the very rare and expensive on eBay troublesome brake van. So I just decided to make my own version of it, even though this isn't the face that the actual troublesome brake van has. But you know, I don't care, so I painted it brown and painted the top of the roof black. Then this rim part around the top here was painted brown. And then I originally wanted to use like a Sharpie or something, a thin Sharpie to paint the black lines, but it was actually going to poke through and scrape the paint. So I had to just use a paintbrush instead to make the lines. So they're a bit thick and big, but you know what? It's okay, I guess. And then I just taped the face on back then. And I did the same with the faces for these other box cars. I mean, I wasn't going to like try to use clay to stick them on or anything. And I know a couple users have commented saying like, why don't I do this to stick the face on? While the paint is still wet on the front, just stick the paper face on and let that be the way the face is going to stick on. But you know what, I maybe would prefer not to. So this one has a bit of a grumpy face, like he's looking off to his left. And then the difference with these other three box cars is that the rim part on these were painted black, because I didn't have this on me when I was making these. I didn't have this one nearby, so I didn't realize that this part was painted brown and these were painted black. I mean, I'll probably make this rim part black a little bit later on. But yeah, so yeah, the grumpy box car. And then on to these two. So this one has the goofy face with the buck teeth. And if you're wondering what I used for these box cars, I used my old customs of the slip coaches. I mean, those were also inaccurate because they were too small. And so I'm going to look for some other coaches in the future. I mean, I know what coaches I'm going to use to make some new customs of the slip coaches. They're actually accurate in size. And this one has a surprise face and he's looking off to his right. And this one was looking off to his left. And so that's it for this custom model segment on LBSC Thomas, Merlin, and the troublesome box cars. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys with the next video.